What's up, everyone? I'm the Astro Mama. I bring the cosmos down to earth to ground deep feelers, creatives, and mystics. So if you fall into any of those three categories, this is your Astro weather forecast for the week of February 9th to the 15th, 2026. Now, I'm recording this on Tuesday, February 10th. Thank you all for your patience. This is a weekly forecast. I try to get it out usually between Sundays and Mondays, but if you can hear it in my voice, I've been sick as a dog. So my forecast for Monday, the 9th, is going to be retroactive, but if you want to, you can listen to it and just feel into going back and seeing, gosh, wait, this thing happened yesterday, or this is what I learned from yesterday, or you can bring healing to whatever occurred in your life yesterday through watching this portion of the forecast. If you want to skip ahead into the future, you can just use the timestamps below. Yesterday, on Monday, February 9th, I was totally embodying the transits that were available, and let me tell you why. I was sick. I've been sick. It is what it is. I'm healing, whatever. Pretty much every day last week, I found myself needing to be horizontal. And I could not stay that way. I could not stay that way. I'm a restless Gemini girly. And so I found myself deep cleaning 2 rooms. I found myself working one of the days in my bed. I found myself fighting with my husband, who was telling me that I should rest, and filling out a job application instead, okay? And this is kind of the energy that was going on yesterday on Monday, February 9th, with a few different energies. So primarily because the moon was in Sagittarius. So the moon in Sagittarius, I have that natally in my chart. We do not like to be restricted in any way. Sagittarius moon energy wants us to travel, literally physically sometimes, mentally through studying many different topics, having many different types of conversations, socially through going into new environments, and spiritually through trying new things spiritually, aligning with new philosophies, being curious, things like that. So when a Sagittarius moon is basically being locked down during a moon in Sagittarius, one would think that she would be a little restless, she being me. Now, even if you don't have your moon in Sagittarius natally, you could have been feeling this restless energy of wanting to experience more from life, having that zest, that desire to try something new, but you could be maybe bogged down by your current responsibilities, maybe even physical limitations with your body, such as sickness. I know many people are under the weather right now. There's definitely something going on. Or maybe your children are under the weather, your partner's under the weather, or something, your roommate. So you find yourself in this caretaker role. I will say that Mercury in Sagittarius Mercury in Pisces also made a square to Black Moon Lilith, who's in Sagittarius right now, that evening at 10:54 p.m. Pacific time. This also indicates this tension between your raw primal essence and also the most logical or reasonable thing to do. In my current example, I'll share that I have Black Moon Lilith in the sign of Virgo. So my raw primal essence loves to be organized, loves to be motivated, loves to be very much a busybody, go, 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 and feels a lot of joy and fulfillment through serving others, through cleaning, organizing things, learning new systems and implementing them, and being more regimented, having more of a routine. That's my raw primal essence is I want to perfect everything. I want to expand everything. The shadow side of that is I can be overly perfectionistic. I can hold myself and others to impossible standards. And then the most logical thing to do in that scenario is to rest. The most logical thing in that scenario to do is to sleep, to watch Bridgerton, to drink some Umka tea, and to try to get better. Right? You might be having a situation, or you did on Monday. I would just say it's already happened, so you can't really go back and change the way you handled yesterday. Try to be compassionate to yourself. You know, it tends to be that our Lilith energy is something that is just such a natural part of us, but it's something that society tends to not like, or people in your life tend to push away or be offended by or triggered by, or it's something that you shy away from. So you don't want to be in this extreme of, like, in my example, being overly perfectionistic, having these really high standards, being really critical, burning myself out to the point where I'm sick. But also, if I was to completely ignore that part of me, if I just told myself, have no structure and who cares, and just, I don't know, whatever the opposite extreme is of that, then my soul would also feel uncomfortable. My soul would also not be growing in the way that she's meant to grow. So you want to look at the qualities of your Lilith placement and think of, what is a more balanced way that I can connect to these energies where I'm not avoiding them, but I'm also not leaning into their extreme expression, or what could happen if I just let them run wild? last thing I'll say about this energy is that today, before I recorded this forecast, I went to the gym, I went to a sauna, I walked, and I feel so much better when I sat down to prep this recording and to film it. Sometimes we have to ask ourselves, when we have these natural impulses or just these like compulsions, am I having this impulse or compulsion because this is genuinely what I'm supposed to do right now? Or am I having it because it's what I'm used to? And you can usually determine that based on if it's a distorted pattern or if it's an excessive way of exerting that activity or those activities. And sometimes the thing that we really need to do is the thing that's most uncomfortable, the thing that doesn't come naturally to us, but fills our batteries so that we can do the things that we're meant to do. I also love that the moon is in Sagittarius on Monday, because who watched the Bad Bunny Super Bowl halftime show? Please comment below. I did a post on his natal chart and how I think it really aligns with this being his moment on my Instagram. I'll link that below if you're curious and want to check it out and go deeper. Congratulations, Bad Bunny. What an excellent, amazing show. On Monday, I feel like many of us, especially those of us who are Latina or Latino, we're just like on a little bit of a high, on a little bit of a inspirational kick, because when you see somebody who represents you and your culture with such bravery and creativity and courage in the mainstream media, it's hard to not feel more inspired. It's hard to not feel more courageous. And you saw at the end of his program, he was saying in Spanish something like, chase your dreams, follow your dreams. I got here because I believed in myself. You have to believe in yourself. What an inspirational message. And I feel like that inspirational message is very Sagittarius moon, which we got to ride the wave of, or the aftershocks of, on Monday. Welcome to Tuesday, February 10th. Venus is now in the sign of Pisces. Venus, the planet of love, beauty, and finances, is moving out of the friendly, innovative, humanitarian sign of Aquarius. These are very different energies. Pisces is ruled by Neptune as its modern ruler, and astrologers believe that Neptune can be the higher octave of Venus. So it just has those Venusian qualities interwoven with it. Therefore, Venus is exalted in Pisces. Between now and March 6th, 2026, you might find yourself really craving depth and connection, mysticism. Pisces Venus energy to me is a desire to merge souls, to be in a flow state. So you're merging your soul with your beloved through intimacy, merging your creativity with the divine that flows through you as you practice guitar, getting into a flow state while you're working on your taxes or whatever that is for you, because there's that financial component. And I would say go for it. What do you have to lose? The shadow side of Venus and Pisces can be just over imaginative, almost escaping into daydreaming, continuing to visualize something, but not taking the physical actions to manifest it. So find that balance, but that being said, like, what is life without a little bit of Delulu? Delulu is the Solulu. And this is definitely the time to dream big, to think big. With so many more tense Saturnian aspects in the cosmos, we have to find ways to celebrate, lean into, and embody the lighter, more beautiful Venusian aspects too. And I will say, so Pisces energy tends to be a little shy. I'm thinking about Bad Bunny as an example. He is a Pisces stellium, because Pisces energy is very sensitive. It's very sensitive. If you just watch him at the Grammys or backstage at the Super Bowl, he has a little bit of a reserve to him, which is funny because his music is so creative and confident. But when he's in these big crowds of people, and maybe he's not in his complete zone of genius, like during his residency when he's performing, he has a more shy demeanor. And Pisces energy can do this. And this is also why Pisces energy, we can deal with substance abuse issues or self-sabotaging patterns or toxic behaviors, because we're absorbing so much that it's like, if you don't learn how to ground what it is that you're observing and feeling, how to protect your energy and know what is yours and what somebody else's, and how to really direct that to being more mystical, to being more connected to the divine, more esoteric, then that energy doesn't have anywhere to go. And so it just kind of like attaches onto you. And one who is extremely uncomfortable, as one would be if they are having all these energies attached to them, doesn't know what to do with it, then you might try to escape or numb out. And so there's a lesson or a balance here when Venus is in Pisces, and this will impact all of us, not even if you don't have a lick of Pisces in your chart, is to allow yourself to merge fully with the divine, with your beloved, with your best friend, with whatever project you're working on or instrument you're playing or art you're creating in this flow state, but to also know where the container must end. You know, you can't be intertwined with your beloved all day, every day. You can't be intertwined with your best friend all day, every day. You can't be working on this project or learning this instrument all day, every day. So you have to learn to know, or invitation to just explore how to create walls of a container for this Piscean water to flow within. Sometimes the more structure that we create, the more it allows ourselves to flow or melt into that structure, because we know that we're not just going to turn into mush. Okay, so today, Wednesday, February 11th, the sun in Aquarius is making a sextile to Chiron in Aries. So this could be a great opportunity to bring healing to past versions of yourself that have gone through it, or to just start to continue to heal and grow past wounding, past trauma, past pain. I invite you today to think about something that you overcame recently. What was that challenge? What did it trigger within you? And how have you grown from it? When we look at each challenging experience as an opportunity to grow, and we have a certain level of attachment, almost like a scientist in a lab looking down at your equation, okay? So if you're a scientist in a lab, or if you're in school and you're taking a chemistry class or something, I did that when I was in my undergrad. I remember, like, you look down and you're doing your equation to see the chemical reaction. And so you'll have to learn how to balance the chemicals with each other, how much of each chemical you'll need, whatever the mole is. I remember that was a little confusing to me, the math part. And if you don't get the reaction that you want, you're not going to throw a pity party about it. I'm not going to like storm out of the lab and be like, that's it, I'm done. What you could do instead is try to figure out, okay, what did I do wrong in the equation before this? Can I go back and double check my work and see I needed a little bit more potassium here, or I needed a little bit more sodium chloride, or whatever that is, right? Or I got my formula was wrong and I actually put the wrong element in. And so now I need to go back and put the right element in. Then you get the proper chemical reaction that you want. In your life, just think about, okay, here's the situation. This was presented to me. Imagine that as the first chemical in the equation. Whatever chemical you added to it is the way that you handled it. And then you got a certain result. So you're exploring, okay, if I like the result I got, amazing. I'm going to keep navigating situations that have the same kind of energy or frequency or chemical composition the next time this comes up. Or if you're like, I don't like the way that the situation panned out, I don't like the reaction that I got, you can explore, okay, do I want to start to change and alter the way that I show up if the situation comes again? Because the universe likes to work in cycles, and most likely it will be presented maybe in a different body, shape, form, environment than it was the first time. How do I want to act differently to get a different result, to get a different chemical reaction? And when we do that, we start to release the wounds so that the lessons can come through. I love working out. It's a passion of mine. I learned recently that when you're building muscle or when you're weightlifting, you're actually breaking your muscles down. I didn't know this. Maybe you already knew this. Some of us aren't Virgos or Aries. Okay, so if you're a Virgo and Aries and you already knew this, good for you. And they're actually like breaking themselves down. And then the muscle itself is built in the recovery period when the tissues start to repair themselves. Whoa. We grow through what breaks us down, a recovery period. But in order to get the result that you want, let's say you're trying to build muscle, in order to get that result that you want, you need to eat enough protein. You need to get enough sleep. You need to stretch your muscles and become more flexible and things like that. So we do also have to meet the universe halfway when it comes to receiving the reward from the process that we were broken down. And I kind of have a more motivational tone right now. Maybe that's because Saturn's moving into Aries this week. I don't know. But I will say that it's also okay if this is like a sensitive topic for you. It's also okay if you haven't fully healed from the wound. Like, there's something to be said about challenging yourself to get out of your comfort zone, but not re-traumatizing yourself. So if there's something that happened recently that still feels really heavy, that still feels really emotional or unsettled, it's making your nervous system go into fight or flight just thinking about it, I invite you to not think about that right now. That doesn't have to be the challenge that you've went through in your life that you get to process today. Maybe focus on something that is more of a scar versus a wound, something that did hurt, but maybe it was 5, 10 years ago, and you can use it as a growth opportunity now because you're further removed from it. Welcome to Thursday, February 12th. The North Node in Pisces is conjunct Mercury in Pisces today, making this a day of fated communications. You might be delivering a fated communication to somebody through publishing a book, making a social media post, sharing something really powerful in a client session. If you're client facing in your career, maybe you're applying for a job that could change your life, or you could be on the receiving end of a really powerful, transformative communication. So you read a book that really blows your mind, or you hear back from a job application you sent that you have an interview, or you receive feedback from a client that is totally transformational. So expect to receive or deliver some kind of fated communication today. Keep your ears open today. This kind of is giving the energy on the more receptive end of maybe you're going through a breakup or something, and you're texting your best friend in the car in the gym parking lot. Let me know if you've been there before, and you're just crying and you're so upset. And then you wipe your tears off and you're like, okay, I gotta go get this workout in. So you go into the gym and you meet somebody and they say something to you like, you look beautiful today, or I love your coat, or are you okay, or whatever. And all of a sudden it sparks this conversation that becomes very pivotal in your life. Maybe they share a perspective on your breakup that makes you heal. Maybe they offer you some kind of opportunity or proposition that changes your life. Or maybe the realization that people are good and that life will continue moving on past this heartbreak comes to your mind. And then if you're that person who's delivering that, trust your gut and speak up. Sometimes we get downloads or we get this nudge from the universe. Go talk to that person, send that text, apply for that job, post that thing on social media, and you never know whose life you could change through listening to the divine guidance to share, to activate your Vishuddha throat chakra, and to express yourself. The moon also enters Capricorn today, making this a more grounded energy. It could be unrelated to the pivotal transformational communication you give or receive today, but this is also a great day to lay any foundations or groundwork for anything. And when the moon is in Capricorn, I think it's a really great day to honor your ancestors. Maybe call your grandma, call your Gigi or your grandpa or your aunt or whoever. It is true that we absorb the trauma of our ancestors and the pain, but we also absorb their growth, their resilience, their strength, their talents, their gifts, and their wisdom. And this is a good day to pay homage to your ancestors through direct communication with them, through spiritual communication with them, or even just bringing their energy into your body, into the way that you exert your will today, and move as the granddaughter, grandson, grandperson, child, descendant, human who came from that person. Bring their strength, their courage, their intelligence, their wit, their joy, their laughter, their talents into your body, into your vessel, and move as if you are a descendant of them. Your ancestors don't mess around, living or dead, when it comes to you. And you are the expression of their hard work, of the pain that they've endured, and also the joy that they've had and created. So walk as if you are that person today. Welcome to Friday, February 13th. Saturn re-enters Aries today, and it will stay there until April 12th, 2028. Now, Saturn was in Aries previously for a little bit between May of 2025 and September of 2025. So you might have already gotten a glimpse of what this transit could look like for you over the next couple of years. But I want to talk specifically to those who are born between April 1996 and March 1998, or February of 1967, or April of 1969. So if you're born between these two windows, I want to talk more to you. You can watch this portion if you weren't, because Saturn in Aries is going to impact all of us depending on the area of your chart where you have Aries, but it will be especially prominent for these two generations. If you're in that first category, you're born between 1996 and 1998, welcome to your first Saturn return. You have Saturn in Aries in your natal chart, and this is where the universe tests you to find maturity and to grow through hard work, sometimes harsh lessons, but really enduring rewards. In whole sign astrology, it'll be whatever house that Aries rules in your natal chart. Think about with this transit, where am I being called to grow? Where am I being called to rise? Aries energy specifically is the warrior. It's the fighter, the boxer, the CEO, the trailblazer. So when we have Saturn, the planet of karma, the planet that rewards really hard work over a long period of time, in this more fiery sign, this could manifest in a couple different ways. For some of us, it's going to be rising to the occasion, activating our inner warrior, activating that Aries-like energy to and bringing those qualities to that part of your life that you don't like, that you want to change, and actually changing it, actually making differences, working towards creating a new reality for you in that area of life. And taking radical ownership. Saturn loves it when you take accountability, when you take ownership, and you're not blaming anybody else anymore for the trials and tribulations that you went through. You're just focusing on you and what you can control, which the only thing we can control in this life, the only being, the only energy, the only entity is ourselves. I'm not saying that in whatever area of life you have Aries or Saturn in, Aries in was easy, or that there weren't people who harmed you. I'm sure that there were other parties involved, but we can't control the other parties. We can only control ourselves. And ideally, at the end of this transit, come April 12th, 2028, you've learned some lessons and you're blessed with some rewards. Saturn doesn't only stress you out in a pressure cooker the whole 2 years. You will be given blessings and rewards the more you show up in integrity, the more you show up dedicated, motivated, and consistently, even if nobody's clapping, even if you're not earning income, even if you're not losing weight, even if you're on a mental health journey, you don't feel better, and it's been 3 months of therapy and you're like, gosh, what's wrong with me? Even if your marriage is still stressful, or you're still single looking for the one for you, or you're still trying to get pregnant, or whatever that is for you, that area of your life where you're being challenged or chiseled by Saturn. Saturn says, keep showing up. If you keep showing up, baby, I will give you something even better than what you wanted. I will give you something even better than you can imagine right now with your current reality. And that's why when people go through Saturn returns, some of their lives turn upside down, because the universe is like, that person, that place, that environment, that thing, that habit, that career, that business that you have been clinging on to, you've had your claws into, maybe since you had a Saturn square around 20 to 21, maybe after, anytime before this time, it ain't meant for you. So I'm just going to go in there and I'm just going to pull you out, pull those claws out of whatever it is you have them in. I'm going to trim your nails and I'm going to give you a new opportunity to rise. I'm going to give you something new to pour into, to invest into. And it doesn't mean that what it is that you are starting new in is going to last forever, but the lessons that you learn from that will, the wisdom will. And there is no certification, degree, training, course you can take that can replace the wisdom you learn in life school, the wisdom that you learn through navigating these challenges. And that's why I think people say your 30s is your best decade. I think a lot of people love being 30. I'm going through my Saturn return right now with you, Saturn and Aries people. I'll let you know how it goes on the other side. I'm 28, but most of my friends are in their 30s or 40s. I have Saturn in my first house. I tend to attract older people into my orbit, and they love it. Honestly, I watch the ways that they're so embodied, they're so confident. They don't overthink the same things that I overthink. They have more resources, and that's pretty cool and inspiring. I can't wait to be on that other side. When you do get to that other side, you do have a certain level of maturity. Bunny just had his Saturn return, okay? His Saturn is in Pisces. Today is the day his Saturn return ended, and we saw, whoa, holy cow, the last 6 months of Saturn return have been insane and so successful for him, because he did work so hard beforehand and he navigated those lessons. And there are positive things that happen. I'm sorry, if you don't learn the lessons by the end of your first Saturn return, you have another opportunity, you have another 30 years to learn, grow, and evolve before your second Saturn return. For those of you who are born between February 1967 and April 1969, welcome to your second Saturn return. Think back to when you were in your late 20s. What were some of the challenges that you went through? How did you grow and evolve since then? This is a great time to see if there's any areas of your life where you're being tested right now. I know somebody who was born in 1969, so he's going through his second Saturn return, and he got married during his first Saturn return. I don't know what time he was born, but I'm going to assume that he has Saturn in 7th house or Aries is his 7th house ruler, because he went through a pretty like abusive, toxic marriage between 28 and like 42. And he stayed single between then and now. I think he's like 55 or 56. Somebody can do the math for me. And just started dating again. And he was presented with a partner who resembled some of the same qualities that his ex-wife did. I'm really proud of him because he chose to not engage in that relationship with that person. I have this hunch that come the end of his Saturn return in 2028, he might get married again or just meet the love of his life then. We'll see. But you have to learn the lessons, and you will be presented with that same thing again, that same type of relationship, that same career, that same health problem. It's just going to be a different package. So the universe is saying, hey, hi, did you spend the last 30 years healing, growing, and evolving? If so, congrats. Here's a little gift. Here's a Benz. And if you haven't, this is really the opportunity to really, really let that go, to really, really close that chapter of your life so that the next 30 years of your life will be amazing and beautiful. And that's the next question I want to ask you is, what do you want to do with the next 30 years of your life? This is the midlife crisis era. It's really just a Saturn return. You start to become more aware of Saturnian, from a Saturnian lens, your mortality and the fact that you will not live forever. I don't think 50 is old by any means, but 50 is closer to 100 than 30 is, right? Now you've had another 30 years of life experience. What do I want to do with the rest of my life? How do I want to spend my day? How healthy do I want to be? What types of relationships or friendships do I want to have in my life? What type of leadership positions do I want to take on with my career or with my family or with my local community or international issues that I'm passionate about? Whether you're having your first or your second Saturn return, this is a great time to dot your I's, cross your T's, close any old chapters, any loose ends, leave behind any bad habits, and be in it, whatever that is for you, for the long haul. Keep the faith, keep your head up, keep your chest out, keep your chin up, keep your shoulders back. You got this. You were meant to do this. Every single human goes through the initiations of Saturn because it's a huge part of our human experience on this earth. And your soul chose to incarnate with the natal chart that it did, with the Saturn placement that it did, the house, the sign, and the transits, therefore, because our transits are dependent on where and when and how we were born. Welcome to Saturday, February 14th. Happy Valentine's Day. Later tonight, the moon will be moving into Aquarius. This, of course, is a great night to have a date night with your beloved, but you might also just be more focused right now on your friendships, on humanitarian issues. This is a great time to send a gratitude text to a friend that was with you during a really hard time in your life, or to pour into your most intimate connections, whether they're romantic or platonic. I truly believe on the reincarnation note that we choose to incarnate with certain groups of people on purpose, and we sign these soul contracts to meet with them again. And every soul contract is different. Some are meant to last forever. Some are meant to last a couple of years. Some are meant to be platonic. Some are supposed to be relationship oriented. Some are supposed to be career oriented, a mentor and a mentee, blah, 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 a doctor and a client. I think we chose to be in community with the people we're in community with. Take time to really honor with reverence the relationships in your life, the friendships in your life, with gratitude and love that the universe aligned the two of you together, the three of you or the five of you at this time for a reason. And we always have things that we get to learn and grow with other people. And how exciting is that we don't have to do this life totally alone. With the moon in Aquarius, you can also use this lovey-dovey energy to donate to a cause that you feel passionate about, to volunteer, and to maybe even cultivate outreach or raise awareness towards an issue that you care about. The moon entered Aquarius tonight, and it's going to rise into its new moon position. We have tonight and then tomorrow of Aquarius moon energy before that new moon actually exacts on the 17th. You could be also feeling this energy accumulating to you around a new beginning, wherever it is you have Aquarius in your natal chart. Lastly, welcome to the end of our week. It's Sunday, February 15th. The sun in Aquarius will be squaring Uranus and Taurus today. Expect epiphanies, expect aha moments, expect downloads, expect being thrust into the right path for you. Do you ever look at your closet and you have jeans that don't fit you anymore? Maybe you're trying to squeeze yourself, this new body into old jeans that don't fit anymore. Or maybe your size has become smaller and you're trying to put on these jeans that they're so big that they're like falling off of you. But the tight or the big jeans are your comfort jeans. Just keep being able to wear them because they're my comfort jeans. And I've had them since high school or college or before I had kids or after. This is just the time to get new jeans. This is the time, maybe sustainably, maybe you can thrift them or buy them secondhand or on eBay or something. Stop trying to fit into old jeans and get new jeans. Moon, the Aquarius new moon coming up on the 17th is a great time to plant new seeds or manifest new beginnings in whatever area of your life you have Aquarius. In order to manifest or create something new, we have to clear out the old. Fun feng shui tip is that a great way to manifest abundance is to have a clean home. Doesn't matter how many products you have in your home or how much, bougie things you have hanging up. It's more about how clean. Is it clean? Is it organized? And clean your stove. Keeping your stove clean helps with abundance. And why is that? Because when we clean, we're literally making space. We're clearing the old. Then you can welcome in the new. That's all I got for you this week. Thank you for watching. If you liked this video, please like, share, and subscribe with anybody you feel like needs this astrological guidance. I'm here every week on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts, the Astro Mama Podcast. If you want to go deeper into any of the transits that are happening this week or even next week or the next month from now, I do offer personal readings. I do natal chart readings, I do transit readings, birthday or solar return readings, and couples synastry readings as well. The link to book with me is below. I'd be so happy to dive into your chart because the truth is, collective transits are really supportive when it comes to just overall themes or vibes for your life. I like to use them to just align with whatever energy is going on in the collective. But the best way to really utilize astrology in your day-to-day life is through utilizing your personal astrology, because the planets impact us all differently based on where and when we were born. So no two natal charts are the same, no two transit charts are the same. I'm an identical twin. And even so, in Placidus system, my sister and I have some planets that aren't even in the same house. I think that's fascinating. Your unique soul, your soul chose your birth chart, and I'd be so grateful and humbled and honored to read your chart. I'm on a mission to create solutions to AI astrology. Astrology is meant to be delivered human to human, whether it's digitally or in person. And the only way I can do that is to create things that are just as easy, accessible, and free as using AI for astrology. My prayer is with these forecasts that this can be that safe space for you to receive that information. I'm sending y'all so much love, and I'll see you next week. Bye.